guys, today I'm analyzing the chapter 2 of Think and Grow Rich. The title for this chapter is Desire. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, the link is in my bio. So desire basically is having a burning want for something. This chapter explains the importance of having a desire for something before you actually get that thing. I feel like burning your bridges is a huge risk, but sometimes in life you actually need to get them burnt. This is crazy because we are humans, like we're humans. Sometimes we want to go back in time, sometimes we want to retrace our steps. So burning bridges is a big deal, but there comes a time in your life when you actually have to burn those bridges, not because of them, but because of you. You don't want to look back, you don't want to go back, you don't want to fall back. You just want to focus on what's in front of you. So I understand when he encourages people to burn their bridges. Story time. So there's this thing called the Chicago fire that happened in Chicago, where several shops were burnt, and the shop owners were like, okay, we need to move to another state to start our businesses all over again. But one of the shop owners said he was not going to go anywhere, that in fact he had a desire to rebuild his shop in the exact position. Now his friends thought he was nuts, but he did rebuild his shop in that position, and he made more sales than ever because most of his friends had gone to another state to start and continue their business, but he decided to remain there. So he had a lot of customers and he had more sales, and things continued to get better for him just because he decided to stay back. Now he had a desire to stay back, and that was what made him to sustain his business in that exact spot. So according to this chapter, here are 6 ways that your desires can actually be translated into your reality. Number 1, fix in your mind the exact amount of money you want to make or have. Don't just say I want millions next year. Ask yourself, how many? Is it 1? Is it 2 or 3? Be definite, be very, very organized. Number 2, determine in your heart what you want to give in return for what you want. There's nothing like free stuff. Free stuff can come from family and friends, but if you want something that will be life-changing for you, you need to understand that you need to give something in return. Are you giving a service? Are you giving your time? Are you giving your knowledge? There must be something that you can give out. Let's take, for example, the fish pie boy. He didn't just sit at home and start to receive all the favors that he's getting. He did something, no matter how small, but he did something. That's the most important thing. So you need to do something to get something. You need to cause something to happen for you to reap an effect from that thing. So determine what you need to give out to get what you want. Number 3, establish a definite date when you want to receive the money or when you must have the money complete. If you're saying, I want to have 1 million naira by the end of next year, the end of next year can be on the 30th of December 2025, which is 1 day to the end. Yes, and procrastination kicks in. If you tell yourself, I want to achieve something by the end of next year, and by November you haven't achieved it, your mind will be telling you, don't worry, there's still 30 days. But that is the problem. If your plan is to make 3 million by next year, divide next year into 3. Achieve 1 million the first part of next year, achieve another 1 million, and achieve the third one. Let there be a time frame for the achievement of your goals. Don't just set blind goals and set an open-ended time of achievement, because it gives room for unnecessary procrastination. The next point is to create a definite plan for achieving your goals. You need to have a plan. If you don't plan to win, you are planning to lose. Like I said, if you don't make a choice to do something, you're making a choice to not do that thing, which is still a choice. So make a choice. Since you now know what you want, know the amount of what you want, and know what you want to give out in order to get that amount, write it down in a piece of paper, right? And paste it in your walls, put it in your phone, put it in places where you always have access to it, because the more you see it, the more it refreshes your brain. The final step is to read those things twice a day, probably in the morning and in the evening before you go to bed. Now this one is a psychological fact. The more you read it, the more it will stick to your brain, and the more your environment starts to take note of what you're paying attention to. In my previous videos, I said that the things that we focus on are the things that we will continue to see. So if you focus on good thoughts, you continue to see good thoughts. and vice versa. So if you have your goal in mind at all times, just like the man in chapter 1, you will always see means and ways on how to achieve those goals. So always have it at the back of your mind that I have a goal, I have a desire, I have a plan on how to achieve my goal, I have a deadline to achieve this goal. If you always carry that in your mind, everything you do will start to revolve around your goals, and you start to see ways in which you can achieve everything you set out to achieve. So in a world that is constantly changing such as this, the qualities that you must possess are knowledge about what you actually want and a burning desire to possess that thing. Because once you have those two, it will give birth to other things that are really, really necessary. For example, if you know what you want and you have a burning desire to get it, you'll discover that you are able to make plans on how to actually get that thing. So the popular Henry Ford, he had this imagination of horseless carriages. Now back in the day, people used carriages to transport themselves from place to place. So he dreamt about carriages that had no horses, and his employees were like, we can't do it, it's not possible, how will it move without horses? But he kept on holding on to his imagination, and today we have things like cars, right? So he was able to hold on to what he was able to imagine. Now, you will not be able to imagine something that is not possible to achieve. Anything you can imagine is possible. Okay, our imaginative side stems from the creative aspect of us that we got from God, our creator. So a creator can only make another creator. That's why we're very, very creative as human beings. Another example in this chapter are the Wright brothers. They thought about a machine that flies in the air, and a lot of people thought they were crazy, but we have aeroplanes today. Now get this last illustration is crazy. A man called Marconi actually had an imagination of transferring messages without wires. Now back in the day, wires were used to transfer messages from place to place. So he came up with this idea of transferring messages without wireless transfers, and his friends literally thought he was nuts, and they had him committed to a psychiatric ward or something. They thought he was crazy. But guess what? Today we have TVs, radios, and cell phones. It all stemmed from someone's thought, someone's imagination. Don't be scared of thinking, don't be scared of imagining things. As long as you can imagine it, it can be possible. My favorite quote in this chapter is the fact that our turning points in life happens in times of crisis. That is why in times of crisis, pain, chaos, confusion, lack, a part of us is being reborn that we never knew existed. We change into someone else and we start to see the world from a different angle. So most times, the part of you that is meant to succeed is being given birth to in those chaotic times. That is why I said in my last video that sometimes opportunities disguise in form of temporary defeats, chaos, problems, and troubles. So if you're able to spot out that this problem is actually an opportunity for me to, do something different, that is what it will be for you. Everything will be for you the way you look at it. If you look at a problem as just a problem, it will just be a problem for you. But if you look at it as a solution to other problems or an opportunity to solve other problems, that is exactly what it will be for you. So it matters truly how you look at situations. Another take home from this chapter is the fact that the efforts that you use to accept misery and defeat is the same efforts that you will use to accept abundance and prosperity. And every diversity brings in itself a seed to an equivalent advantage. Now let me explain that for you. There are people who are born handicapped, right? Or let's say a crippled man, for example. If a crippled man is selling oranges and a man who can walk is also selling oranges side by side, more people will buy from the crippled man. Now, him being a cripple is a disadvantage because he can't move from place to place easily on his own. And he has been able to use it as an advantage for himself. So people come to him because he's crippled, they want to sympathize, they want to support him. So he ends up making more sales than the one who is able to walk. Now, that is just one example. There are thousands of examples of how people have used their diversities or deformities or misfortune, quote unquote, to sustain themselves or to make something out of their lives, to make them outstanding. Final story in this chapter is the story of a deaf boy who eventually found a way to hear using hearing aids and several instruments. And he didn't just stop with him hearing, he saw it as an opportunity to help other people hear. So he started to invest in things to help other people to be able to hear just the same way he is able to hear. And it reflects in what I said in one of my videos. I said, anything you're able to overcome, you have a right to teach people or help people overcome that thing. So he was able to overcome his deformity of not being able to hear, and he used it as a medium to help others, and he touched millions of lives with what he did. So we've come to the end of Desire, which is the second chapter and the first step to wealth creation. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, link in my bio. That's it for today. I'll see you next time.